thank you all for being here today. It's great to be at the Mattamy Home site here this morning. Projects like this show what happens when partners come together with a shared goal: more homes built faster with the crew and tools needed to keep Ontario going strong. We're honoured to be joined by Premier Doug Ford, the Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy, Minister of Finance, and the Honourable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Honourable Graydon Smith, Associate Minister of Housing, and Mayor Carolyn Parish. Thank you for your leadership and for continuing to lay the foundation for real results across our province. Our government is focused on the big picture of making life more affordable, building the strongest economy in the G7, and protecting Ontario for future generations. That means cutting costs for families, creating good-paying jobs, and ensuring people can find a home in the communities they love. To all our partners and stakeholders, thank you. Your work is powering this progress. And with that, it is my pleasure to welcome the Mayor of Mississauga, Carolyn Parish. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to the ministers, but particular thank you to Minister Flack, Mr. Bethlenfalvy, and of course the Premier, who is actually my hero. We have done everything we can possibly do as a municipal government by cutting DCs on multi-bedroom units to zero, cutting DCs on other units by 50%. We've done everything humanly possible to make building homes faster, less expensive, and better here in Mississauga. This today, and I'm not going to break the announcement, is actually the cherry on top of the sundae. It's absolutely what we needed to keep housing going. We are processing 17,000 units right now, which is remarkable. This is going to double that very shortly. So I want to thank everybody involved, and I particularly want to thank the Premier. I think he is a superstar. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Yeah. Okay, Flacky, try to top that one.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with your local MVP and Minister Tangri and Graydon Smith, my colleague at Housing, Peter Bethlenfalvy, our Minister of Finance, who's got a kind of important day tomorrow, and obviously Premier Doug Ford. I've got to say it's great to be here with the Mayor. And full disclosure, I grew up about 10 minutes from here with this young man, George Carlson, standing right here, and I emphasize young George because we're still young. But I always say, Mayor and Nina, you're the first ladies of Mississauga, but not quite, because my mother's still alive at 90, so I call her the first lady of Streetsville and Mississauga, but it's great to be here back home, so to speak. I had the pleasure of participating in the Mayor's Housing Task Force meetings recently, and I applaud what she's doing in Mississauga. She's setting the example for what we need to do across this province. Additionally, we have a number of friends in the housing sector with us here today that I want to acknowledge, who've done great heavy lifting to help us get here today. Dave Wilkes from the Building Industry and Land Development Association, Scott Anderson from the Ontario Home Builders Association, and Christina Giannoni's here as well, who's the president of that association, Alex Earthy from the Ontario Real Estate Association, Nadia Todorova from the Residential and Civil Construction Alliance of Ontario. I don't believe Ian is here, but a bunch of folks are here from Habitat for Humanity, GTA and Mississauga and others. Tony Irwin from FERPO is here, our good friend Tony, along with key home builders in the region, including Argo, Deco, Diamond Corp, Mattamy, Remington, Treasure Hill, and Tridel. Thank you all for being here. I also see Michelle Baker, or I did see her, I know where she is now, from Ontario's big city mayors. I think we can all acknowledge that it isn't business as usual in Ontario, especially in our housing sector. As I've said many times, you've heard me say, it takes too long and it costs too much to build homes in this province. We are changing that. And according to a recent Advocates poll, over 70% of the people looking to buy a home are doubtful they ever will. Doubtful they ever will. I would argue that no one in here, in this field today, would argue that they had those doubts. If you're over 50, that you had those doubts that you could ever buy a home. 70% of people today that haven't have those doubts. That's not acceptable. For a nation and province as prosperous as ours, this reality needs to change, and we're changing it here today. For many, home ownership is the quintessential definition of achievement and security. It's where you can build a nest egg outside the reach of government taxes. It's a place where you can lay down roots with your family and take pride in your community. That is why we are correcting the course and creating the conditions to build more homes faster and smarter. Already, we have made great progress through Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act and the Fighting Delays Building Faster Act passed last year. These two pieces of legislation have made it clear that the code is king, eliminating the patchwork of rules and iterations across the province that stall development. We advanced as-of-right approvals to get shovels in the ground faster. We prohibited Cadillac design standards that do nothing to enhance building safety, and we made extensive reforms to development charges. Yes, to development charges. More on that to come. Development charges serve a purpose. We know that. But they have gotten out of control. In the GTA alone, they can add well over 6 figures to a single family home. This needs to change. In today's market, with today's challenges, these fees need to be reined in. And that's exactly what we're doing. We deferred DCs until occupancy to increase project viability. We ensured they reflect the true cost of infrastructure, and we removed them entirely from long-term care homes. And we were looking at ways to reduce this burden, continue to reduce this burden while supporting our municipal partners like Mississauga with new solutions for infrastructure investment. Last year, I was proud to sign beside Minister Bethlenfalvy when we announced that we would rebate the provincial portion of HST for first-time homebuyers. And it was well appreciated, Minister. It was a great day. Today, I am proud to say that we're taking another big step forward in the right direction to help kickstart our housing sector right into action. I'll now turn the program over to Minister Bethlenfalvy for some news.
Well, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde on this beautiful morning here in Mississauga. What a great community. It's great to be here with my colleagues, Minister Flack, Associate Minister Tangri, and Associate Minister Smith, and Mayor again. I echo, boy, superstar. That's quite a lofty. I don't. Oh no, I've never gotten superstar. I've gotten all-star, but superstar. So Mayor, you gave him a big honor. And thank you for being here. I want to give a particular shout out, as the Premier said just a few minutes ago, to the great workers standing over there. Let's give a big round of applause. The people who build all this, get up every morning, put shovels in the ground. Thank you, all of you. The past year has seen significant global economic uncertainty, impacting nearly every aspect of the world we once knew. It's clear that the world has changed, and we must be prepared for what that change may bring, even if that means being prepared for tougher times. Il va sans dire que notre monde a changé, et nous devons nous préparer à affronter les conséquences de ces changements, même si cela implique de se préparer à des temps plus sombres. We've seen across the country our fellow provinces announced record deficits, hiked taxes, and cuts to public services. But here in Ontario, we do not believe in raising taxes. We know families in Ontario are feeling uncertain and have seen higher prices on everyday items as a result of ongoing global economic turmoil. That is why, through our plan to protect Ontario, our government acted early to provide relief to help make life more affordable for Ontarians. In the last year alone, our government provided nearly $12 billion, yes, that's 12 with a B, billion dollars, in support to families and individuals in Ontario. But we know that more can be done. A competitive housing market helps attract and keep construction jobs, while also boosting affordability and growing our economy. As Ontario continues to navigate economic pressures and uncertainty, we continue to build on our track record of keeping costs down for families and individuals and putting money back in their pockets where it belongs. Our pragmatic approach, anchored in the responsible and prudent management of Ontario's finances, remains unwavering, so Ontario remains competitive, resilient, and self-reliant. We will continue to invest in infrastructure that supports growth, competitiveness, public services, job creation, and the province's long-term prosperity. So together, We are building the province we want, not just for today, but for tomorrow. A more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant economy, so Ontario becomes the best place to invest and do business, not just in Canada, but in all of the G7. So I look forward to sharing further details in our 2026 budget tomorrow. And it's my great honor and privilege to introduce someone who is, yes, a superstar and has been, I'll call him the 300-pound gorilla, the 800-pound gorilla. He's championed. He's champion. That's going to cost me, I know.
You're treading on fine ice there, buddy.
But I really, nice. But I really want to say this in all seriousness. The Premier has been advocating strongly. You've heard him in the public domain, fighting for workers, fighting for construction jobs, fighting for housing affordability. And so I want to pass the baton over to the person who's really had the vision and the leadership, not just for today, but for future generations, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario.
Boy, well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and just so thrilled to be here in Mississauga. And as the finance minister said, I told the men and women over there this would not happen without you, so we're very, very grateful. The hardworking folks in the trades, we're very grateful. And I got to thank Peter. He's the best finance minister we've ever seen. He's a prudent fiscal manager, but he knows when to invest, and that's in infrastructure and in housing. So, Peter, thank you very much for making sure that this moves forward. And I'll tell you, folks, it was a good battle with him. He's feisty when it comes to releasing money. I say he's tight as skin on a grape, and he has his wallet down to his ankles there. But thank God we have a finance minister like Peter. He's going to deliver a historic budget tomorrow, and I just can't wait for you to get up there in the House and just tell the great people of Ontario what we're doing for each and every one of them, how we're stirring up the economy, and as well as our Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack. I always say he's one of the brightest business minds down there. I call him Flacky, and he's a Streetsville boy, so it must be nice to come back into your area, Flacky, and see this happening. You know, he's been a champion for housing. We have a lot more work to do, working to lower the cost of homes, reduce taxes and fees, and keep the dream of home ownership alive. I also want to acknowledge two other hardworking members of our cabinet, Minister Tangri, a Mississauga gal, as I can say. She's doing an incredible job in economic development, attracting more businesses here in Ontario. And Minister Graydon Smith, he's my champion. He's working hand in hand with Minister Flack, former mayor of Bracebridge. There's no one that understands municipal issues more than Graydon does, so thank you. And finally, Mayor Parrish, I absolutely love you. No, she's an absolute champ. You know, the stakeholders know, they aren't going to say anything, but my goodness, this is refreshing. Going Mississauga under the previous mayor had the lowest starts per capita in the entire country. Now, Mayor Parrish is leading Ontario in new starts, so thank you for doing a fantastic job. Thank you for working with us and being collaborative. And all the industry leaders here, home builders with us today, it wouldn't happen without the great leadership within the sector. And I know Peter rattled them all off, or Flacky, I think, rattled them all off. But folks, you know, we see we're under attack with President Trump's tariffs, and conflicts overseas continue to cause economic uncertainty for families. Our government has a plan to protect Ontario. We're investing in world-class workers, our businesses, and our infrastructure to build a province that is more resilient, more self-reliant, and more competitive, so we can stand up to anything that comes our way. We're cutting red tape, we're cutting regulations, and keeping taxes and fees low. As a finance minister, I almost called you prime minister, maybe one day, Peter. The finance minister to save businesses and families $12 billion each and every single year. This is money that people are putting back into their pockets and businesses so they can expand and create new jobs right here in Ontario. And what I love I can't remember, we've been involved, our family, for 3 generations, over 3 decades. I can't remember a government never ever raising taxes. We will never ever raise a tax. Government doesn't have an income problem, they have a spending problem. And we're doubling down on our more than $223 billion plan to build, the largest plan of its kind in Canadian history, to build more roads, highways, bridges, hospitals, schools, and all the critical infrastructure needed to help Ontario grow. As we build, we are laser focused on keeping costs down and making life more affordable. We've removed tolls from the 412, 418, and the 407 East, saving daily commutes $7,200 each year, and we've banned new tolls on public roads. We axed the Drive Clean program, scrapped the license sticker fee, and fought the carbon tax until it was removed. We permanently cut gas tax, saving 10.7 cents a litre. Just imagine if there was another 10.7 cents to the outrageous costs that we're paying for gas now. And we're saving transit users $1,600 every year with a program called One Fare. And I'll explain it quickly. Say you're up in Barrie, you hop on the GO train, you go down to Union Station, you hop on the TTC, and then you hop on Mississauga Transit, all on one fare. So that saves a tremendous amount of money. We've never ever raised a tax, and we will never raise a tax, because I know how hard the people of this province work for their paychecks. And I will always fight to put more money back into the pockets of taxpayers. For most families in Ontario, buying a home is the biggest financial decision they will make in their lives. But for too many families, the dream of home ownership is being pulled out of reach by high costs and economic uncertainty. One of the biggest factors in the increased cost of housing is government taxes, fees, and development charges that add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost of a new home. Our government has been working hard to lower the cost of housing and get more shovels in the ground. We've invested historic amounts in housing enabling infrastructure to a tune of $4 billion. So many municipalities can build the infrastructure they need without raising development charges on home buyers. That includes $1.2 billion for the Building Faster Fund and a historic $4 billion for the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program. We also cut the HST on purpose-built rentals 3 years ago, and as a result, rental housing starts reached nearly 24,000 last year, up from 18,000 before the rebate took effect. And last fall, we announced that we would remove the HST from nearly all new homes purchased by first-time homebuyers. In partnership with the federal government, today we're going even further. I'm thrilled to announce that as part of tomorrow's 2026 provincial budget, we will be rebating the full HST for all new homes. No matter if you're a first-time buyer, second, or a 10-time buyer, you're getting the HST deducted, valued at $1 million or less, providing up to $130,000 in relief for home buyers. To reflect the reality of Ontario's housing market, we will extend that to a $130,000 rebate to new homes valued between $1 million and then $1.5 million. And then after $1.5 million, it's going to slope down to $1.875 million. Today's announcement is made possible in part because of our partnership with the federal government, which is cost sharing with us in support of provincial housing initiatives. This additional funding will cover the federal 5% portion of the HST, which will allow us to provide a full 13% HST rebate instead of just covering the provincial portion. I want to thank the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Carney is a great partner, and I just appreciate him doing this. This is going to make a massive, massive difference in making this possible. This rebate will deliver nearly $2.2 billion in tax relief, kickstart the construction of 8,000 additional homes, support up to 21,000 jobs, boost Ontario's GDP by up to $2.7 billion, and bring the dream of home ownership in reach. For thousands of Ontario families, this tax relief will last from April the 1st this year to the end of March next year. So my message to everyone from the building sector here today is very simple. Start building. I also have a message for Ontario municipal leaders across Ontario. We're doing our part by cutting taxes and fees and investing in housing enabling infrastructure, but we need you to step up too. Some mayors, like Mayor Parrish, which is my champion, Mayor Brown, Mayor Del Duca, Mayor Nuttall, and Mayor Dilkins, they've been true leaders in removing or reducing development charges, but we need more mayors to follow her lead and cut these costly fees that add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost of new homes so we can get building and help more families find a home that meets their needs and their budgets. Our government will continue to deliver on our plan to protect Ontario by speeding up construction and lowering the cost of building across the province, and we'll continue to do it without raising a tax on the hardworking people of this province. A message to the great people of this province: if you're in the position to buy a new home, no matter if it's a condo or a townhome or a detached home, please get everything together. You have 1 year to see this $130,000 reduction in cost. Please go out there, talk to your bankers, and start buying the homes. Thank you, everyone, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now take questions from the media. Media can come to the microphone and state their name and outlet. Just a reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. First question.
Hi there, Lorenda Redicop with CBC News.
Hi, Lorenda.
Hi. It says in the tech documents that we received that this could stimulate up to 8,000 homes being built. This is just over a year. Where does that number come from? And what will be a marker of success?
Well, it really comes from the sector. They're the experts. We aren't. We take our lead from the sector. But honestly, I think we're being a little conservative there. People are hungry, and this is like a big, you go by these big retail stores, big sale sign, 13% off. So if I were people out there, I'd be buying these new homes and do it right away. You have a year to do it.
We're at a Mattamy Homes site. I was sent something from Mattamy Homes in Alberta, and they are offering, for a limited time, Calgary and Airdrie. They'll cover your first 12 mortgage payments. So is there more that developers should be doing here in Ontario? Are you pushing for that?
Well, I don't speak for the developers. It's an open market, so they're going to decide how to attract more people to buy their homes. That's going to be strictly up to them.
Hi, Premier. Steve Cornwall here from the Trillium.
Hey, Steve.
It looks from the materials that we've seen that this rebate won't be means tested. The language is kind of for everyone here. So if the rebate coming back is not going to be based on household income, can you kind of take me through why kind of everyone, regardless of income, that will be buying a home would be getting up to $130,000?
Well, this all starts on making sure that we kickstart the construction sector. I've never seen it this slow ever. I don't think the sector's ever seen it this slow. So we got to protect our hardworking construction workers, that they can bring a paycheck home. And it's also for people that want to buy a home. It doesn't matter if it's their first or second, they want to upgrade. That's how we do it.
And a question on one of your favorite topics, the FOI changes. There is from our understanding, there is a mandatory review of Ontario's lobbying law that's around 5 years overdue. Your government promised to start this years ago to add a higher degree of accountability. Is quote. And will your government start this review of Ontario's lobbying law soon? And will you update the law to require lobbyists to publicly disclose which government officials they're meeting with, like it is done federally?
Well, I'd have to look into that and get back to you. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Premier Colin DeMello from Global News. I'm wondering if you can take us inside the negotiations that you guys were having with the federal government. It seems like it was a months-long negotiation to get them to this point on joining you guys with the HST. What was their reluctance, and what did you do to finally convince them to hop on board?
Well, it wasn't a reluctance. They're always for building homes. I have a great deal of respect for the Prime Minister. We chatted yesterday, and that's what happens when you build relationships. We work collaboratively with the federal government, provincial and municipal partners in the sector, in the construction trades. That's what happens. It's all about working together, and I appreciate his cooperation. We have many more real positive announcements coming with us and the federal government. So they're great partners, and the Prime Minister is doing the right thing. He's a good man. He's a smart businessman. He's out building relationships around the world. He's back, and he's going to be kicking some butt there.
Right, but they only said yes yesterday afternoon on the eve of an announcement that you were going to make, right? So, I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like they were dragging their heels into the last minute. Did you have to say something to
No, I'm not going to get into our personal details, but they didn't just say yes yesterday, per se. This conversation was going way back for months, and I'll leave it at that. I don't like divulging our personal conversations, but I can tell you, when the Prime Minister promised something, he delivered.
And I wanted to ask you about polling. I know you say polls are for dogs, but then you also talk about polls quite often when they benefit you. A new Abacus...
I don't care.
A new Abacus poll, Premier, shows that a majority of respondents, 60%, oppose your planned changes to the FOI laws. 75% are against the government making the changes retroactive. And 63% want progressive Conservative MPPs to vote against your own government's law that will be introduced tomorrow on the FOI changes. What do you think about that poll? And don't you think that that's overwhelmingly negative about the FOI
you know
changes?
something? That poll, you never disclose the full facts. That polls come from QP Union that absolutely hates me, hates our government, and I wonder why it's biased. But let me tell you something, Colin. People care about affordability right now. They care about buying a home. They care about making sure they have a job. They care about making sure that when there's opportunities like that, they're going to be able to go out and buy a home. That's what our poll shows. Number one, it's the economy. It's the economy. It's the economy. And as Carville said back to George H. Bush, it's the economy, stupid. So I'll never call you stupid because you're a smart guy. You know exactly what you're doing. But it's all about the economy.
Hey, Premier Ford,
I'm always nice to you, Colin. What are you talking about? I call the guy on his birthday. I do everything. Go ahead.
Premier Ford, Ahmed Al-Bayoumi with Poly Corner. I just want to add to Colin's question first. The poll found that a majority believe that the changes are primarily intended to reduce government accountability. Premier, can you explain to Ontarians why they feel that you are trying to reduce government accountability?
Well, let's be very clear. It's 95%. I'm going to repeat that number until you guys can repeat it on the news. 95% anything will be disclosed, FOIs. We are following in the steps of every single province in the federal government. So I find it amazing that every other province is doing what we're planning to do and has done it for years in the federal government. So maybe you should talk to those folks, find out we're just following lockstep with the rest of the province. The only mistake we did is we should have done this years ago with all the other provinces in the federal government. So we aren't pulling a rabbit out of our hat. Everything's transparent. Judge us on the decisions we make. And that's very transparent. But again, I know people that are focused on this are two groups, the opposition and the media. I can tell you ask the average person, they want a job, they want affordability, they want lower gas, lower taxes, and they want to be able to buy a home. That's what people care about. Next question.
I'd note that according to the IPC, only 4% of FOIs come from the media. However, Premier, I do want to ask you on an unrelated...
Can I jump in there for a second? Folks, listen to this stat. We get 75,000 FOIs. That's more than the entire country combined. Something's wrong with that. We have full-time staff getting paid a lot of money, not only in the bureaucracy, but also in our office. All they do is do FOIs. Something's broken when we're getting more FOIs than anyone in the entire country. But I have an idea. Why don't we talk about the greatest announcement that we've ever made, the only people in the country that are doing this incentive, getting rid of the HST. That's what people care about.
Premier, on an unrelated topic, Bonnie Crombie, a name that's familiar, I'm told is seriously considering taking on Mayor Parrish in October's mayoral election. What do you think of the possibility of Mayor Crombie once more, and would you get involved to help stop her and help Mayor Parrish get reelected?
You know something? I never get involved in municipal elections, but I will send an army down here to make sure I support Mayor Parrish. It was an absolute disaster under Bonnie Crombie. Rose taxes like they've never seen before. Cut off everything about housing. She was an absolute disaster. So what I say to Mayor Bonnie Crombie, bring it on. Let's go. We're ready.
Yeah, hi, Premier. Randy Rath from CHTV. I want to ask you about governance in the region of Niagara. Before the whole Bob Gale as regional chair thing went sideways, he sent Minister Flack a letter describing what he concluded needs to be done down there. And what he said was he wants to have the only people on regional council would be the 12 mayors and a chair, and the rest of the municipal councils would stay in place, but they would be reduced by a significant number of councillors. Are you going to listen to what Mr. Gale said, or are you going to, you seem like you really want to have, 4 municipalities or 1 municipality. You haven't specified which, and you seem to be among the minority when you look at the mayors. Like the vast majority of mayors want to continue on as it is.
Well, of course, the vast majority, and we're closing them down. We're going to do something else. We're going to help these people rather than just giving them more drugs, more needles, encouraging drug use. I'm dead against. I want to help these people. It's like giving an alcoholic the LCBO card and saying, here's an endless spend limit. Go in there and we're going to try to clean you up. Not going to happen. So I'm passionate about this. I think every family has a friend or a family member or something has faced these situations of addiction. I'm passionate. We're going to help these people, but I'm not handing out needles and all the drug paraphernalia. Not happening here in Ontario.
This concludes today's questions and press conference.
Anyways, thanks everyone. I appreciate everyone coming. Let's start selling these homes. Let's start building them. And people of Ontario, please go out and purchase a new home. Thank you and God bless.